And here's where Paul starts another discussion. And what I call it Paul's world view. How he looks at the world, at life, and he looks at death. So I'm going to put life over here and death over here. And what Paul says about both of them. It's sort of like we did about the preaching the other day, good or bad, and Paul says in the end, look, what they do or don't do is not my call. Christ is preached, I rejoice, and God's going to sort it all out. So here he follows that up, and he says that what I hope is that now as always, Christ will be exalted in my body, whether by life or whether by death. So, if this is verse 20. So in verse 20, what does Paul say about life? Verse 20. I just read it. What did he say about life? So that now as always, Christ will be exalted in my body, whether by life or death. What did he say about life?
Christ will be exalted in my body.
Who's exalted?
Christ.
Christ exalted in my body, in my life.
Right.
So, what's exalted mean?
I don't know.
Lifted high?
Yep, lifted high.
What?
To be exalted would be honored, to be lifted up, respected. All right. Christ exalted in my life. What did he say about his death?
I am the way, the truth, and the light.
No, in this verse. He did say that. That's right. What did he say in this verse? All right, once again, same thing. So he says, look, whether I live or die, I want to exalt Christ. How could you exalt Christ? Okay, by serving him in your life. How could you exalt Christ in your death?
By serving him in your death.
Okay, but a little more. How could you, in death?
Be a martyr.
Okay, give your life for a cause. That's what a martyr is. Certainly not go out, not die doing something really bad. You know, so here, Pastor Gary dies, and when he dies, you find out he died
With a needle in his arm.
needle his arm, or
Dead.
or what?
Lousy dead.
Right? Or yeah, you know, stole money, or
Rob a bank.
you know, there's I can't think what show it was, but some famous preacher, he died, and he died sleeping with his mistress, and his wife didn't know about, you know, so you know, for me to go out doing something inappropriate, that would really be bad. You know, speeding down the highway, you know, whatever. So I need to exalt Christ in my death. That's what Paul said he wanted to do. I want to exalt Christ in my life, but even as I go out, I want to exalt Christ in that way too. So that's what Paul says about life and death.
Doing what is honorable, right?
Say what?
Doing what is honorable.
Yeah. I want to go out doing what's honorable with a good attitude. You know, they say Dr. Bill. Not Dr. Bob. It's Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob. They say Bill Wilson struggled at the point of death, and then there's some stuff written about it, and apparently he really didn't go out well. And you know, if he had it to do all over again, you know, he'd want to go out a little better. But he struggled right at the very end. He just kind of lost it. And who knows what was going on in his mind. But you know, I hope I go out good. My attitude's good, and I go out doing right stuff. That's how I hope I go. And Paul said that's how he hopes. And I'm with Paul. All right, then in verse 21 he says, for me to live is Christ and to die is gain. So he talks about life and he talks about death. Verse 21. What's he say about life in 21? It's Christ. He wants to exalt Christ in his life in verse 20. He said, actually verse 21, my life is all about Jesus. My life is all about him. It's really not about Gary or Paul anymore. It's about Jesus. I'm not quite where Paul is. I'm not quite there. By a long shot. But my daily focus is more about Jesus, helping people know him and helping his people. My life is more about that on a daily basis, believe it or not, than it is about me. I spend my life doing things that I think matter. I'm not perfect. I relapse, but my focus every day on my job, and when I leave from here, the other stuff I do, it's focused towards honoring the Lord, helping people know him, and trying to help his people. That's what I'm motivated by. You know, if I had a job laying concrete, I don't know if I'd have that focus. But I do, and I'm very grateful for that. So I understand. So for Paul it says, for me to live is Christ. What does Paul say about death in verse 21?
Gain.
It's gain. Now we won't have this discussion, first off because I want to get through it, and secondly I don't want to, I'd love to hear if like tomorrow you want to talk about this, we'll do it, but I want to finish this. But a lot of us, whatever it is we think about death, it ain't that it's gain. What's gain mean?
To get more.
Yeah, what he says is, if I die, I win. I die, I hit the jackpot. I die, I win the lottery. A lot of us don't feel that way about death. We're scared of death. We're dreading death. But if I understood the Bible and I understood God like Paul did, death is not something to be afraid of or to dread. I die, I win. Now, based on the imperfect dude that I am, that's all true. But I actually believe what the Bible says. I believe I've done imperfectly, but I've done what the Bible says to do. I'm in for this stuff, and I honestly believe that my death is going to be gained. I graduate, and I win. And so, when I die, don't weep for me, Argentina. When I die, remember I told you the other day, when I die, I want a black funeral. You know how they do in black funerals, right? It's a part, at least in Christian funerals, it's a party. All right? They're getting down. And when I die, don't you feel bad for me. I'm good. And I got a good insurance policy. Gail's going to be okay too. So, y'all, it's good. Be happy for me. I gain, I win, I graduate. Death is not scary to me. Now, I do hope as I go out with a good attitude. I do hope when I go out, I go out doing good things. I do hope that. And I'm with Paul. I hope that's going to be the gear. I'm counting on it, but I know me. But I know God, and I know the Bible, and I win. When I die, I win. Now, you need to learn to understand it like I do, and feel it like I do, and be ready for it like I do. I'm not perfect, but it's what the Bible says. I believe it. And boy, does that ever give me encouragement and confidence. See, Average, you're 62. When you were 22, you weren't feeling that way, and that's true. I was afraid I wasn't going to get married and have a family. And I can remember worrying about that at age 22. Well, actually, I got married at 22, but before that. And so I've had a great life. So you say, well, you've had a long run, so no wonder you're feeling that way. That's true. But I just want you to know the Bible's true, and death is gain if you've bought in to what the Bible teaches and what God says. Now, Kevin had his hand up, and I'll take it.
I'm kind of like on the same line that you are, because if I live for the sake of God, right, I try to live in which is guidance
Yep.
and obedience to Him, right. I may be afraid of how I die, but death don't scare me either.
Yes, Kevin.
And
Yes.
I see death as a gain, because if I live for the sake of God, or God, if I
Yes.
live for that sake alone, and God, the gain will be me going to me going to heaven. Right?
Yep.
You know, that's how I see it. But the way I die here, and the thought of how it's possible to die here, hit by buses and shots, man, that possibility of how I die kind of scares me. But I don't think I'm afraid of what that holds for me.
I'm with you. I got you. I'm and somebody, I don't know what it was, something on the radio, somebody got shot and died, and I think maybe it was a preacher. It was one of those situations. And I was thinking, and I was listening to that, and I'm thinking, I work in East Baltimore, and guys get beat up around here, and it's, people get shot, and and I got to thinking, man, I don't want to get shot. I'm hurt. And I went through all that in my head. So you're right. There's certain ways I want to go, and there's ways I don't want to go. But to the best of my ability, I hope, like Paul said, that when I go, that I'll glorify God, I'll exalt Christ in my death. But it is gain. It is not something to be afraid of. And if you're afraid, you need to regroup. That's my point. If you are, no hating, but you don't understand something, I need help to get this. So you can feel differently, because Paul's onto something here. Yes, Richard?
I want you to die in bed surrounding on your family without suffering.
Yes, that would be
Go to sleep
yeah,
and don't wake up.
be a nice way to
I'm
go.
not afraid of death. What I'm afraid of is the unknown of death.
Right? Well, and I
What's going to happen when I die? So I'm going to go to heaven, I'm going to hell, or I'm going
well, that's
to
the
the
whole point.
A lot of times they say you don't go to heaven right away. You go to
Purgatory, I'm pretty sure that's where you're going first.
Well, that's what everybody says. There.
All right,
Everybody
well,
goes.
that's where I'm counting on for you.
Before you go
No,
to
no,
God.
no, that's not a place, at least according to the Bible, and I don't think that's a deal. It's heaven or hell, and that your point's a good one. That's exactly what Paul's talking about. You don't know, you haven't got that settled, and you need to get that settled and feel good about it, because that's the way it's supposed to be. All right, let me do 22. So, once again, Paul talks in verse 22 about living. Doesn't talk about death in 22, just talking about living. If I am to go on living in the body, so this is not just talking about life here, this will mean fruitful labor for me. So, what he says about life is what? Yeah, he says if I'm going to live, then it's going to be labor, but it's also going to be fruitful. What's that mean?
No.
I'm going to produce some stuff. I ain't just doing stuff. I'm doing stuff. I've been working, but I'm going to produce some stuff. So Paul says, for me, life is fruitful labor. But then he says, yet what shall I choose? I do not know. What's he mean, choose? What's he choosing about? Life or death? He says, look, for me to die is gain. For me to live is labor. Fruitful labor, but it's labor. And he says, which way should I go? I don't know. I don't know which I'd rather do. Die and hit the lottery and go to heaven, or stay here for fruitful labor to serve. So then he goes on. That's 22. Now he goes on to 23. I'm torn between the two. Which two? Life and death. I desire to depart. What would that mean? Die. Okay, so my death. He said, I actually want to go. Because if I go, what's it going to be? What's the next thing he said?
Right.
I'm going to be with Christ. So if I go, I'm going to be with Christ, and that is, he says, better by far. So, yeah, that's right, that's the game. So 23, he's talking about death, and he says it's with Christ, and it's better by far. And that's way better than living. Dude, I'm down here, I'm living in this jail, I'm dealing with all these stupid people. Oh, man, I'd much rather be in heaven with Jesus. Because that's right, because for him dying is gain. Because of his perspective. Richard says, man, I don't know that. Well, that's the whole point here, Richard. I really want you to get this kind of thing set. All right, that's 23. Now 24. But it is more necessary for you, not that I depart, but that I remain in the body. What's that mean? Live. So Paul says, talking about living in verse 24, and in verse 24, living is all about what? Serving other people. It's all about somebody else. Isn't this interesting? Paul says life is all about Jesus and others. Paul says life is not about me. It's about Jesus and others. That's why I'm here. I'm here to serve Jesus and help others. And you go, well, that doesn't sound like any fun. I want to submit to you that if we compared the last 10 years of life, I do not believe any of you could measure up in whatever all the stupid stuff you've been doing. I don't think any of you could measure up to as good a deal as I've had. And I'm not rich, I'm not famous, I'm not important, I'm not powerful, I'm not anybody special, but I bought into this stuff, and what I've done in the last 10 years is a really cool gig.
I believe you're well off.
Yes, I am well off.
You're well off.
It's just really cool. And compared to what you've done the last 12 years, you've probably been some places, you've probably done some stuff, I don't doubt that. But day in and day out, I made the Paul commitment to Christ, to others, imperfectly. I'm not the Apostle Paul, but I've worked at this. And I'm telling you, life is great. And so, this is not, oh, if I'm going to do that, I won't have any fun. Dude, I got a great gig. And I can only hope you ever get into life and have something as cool and meaningful as what I've had. And I'm going to go to heaven on top of that, and that's gain. Dude, this is awesome. All right, yes, sir.
Well, I'm kind of understanding what you're saying, right? It's like throughout my life, and the things I've been doing, and don't have nothing, and the lifestyle I was living, when I practice my religion, my spirit is so far healthier. I still ain't got no money, no nothing. I got nothing. But my spirit is feeling so much better, and I'm at more peace with myself than when I'm out there doing what I do and still don't have nothing, but I'm downtrodden and no hope and hopeless and all that. Today I don't have nothing, but I'm not hopeless anymore, because now I have a better chance to get some things.
Yeah, and Kevin and I expect as you do walk this walk appropriately, that you'll start getting stuff, and this time when you get it, the drug man won't get it. You'll be able to get it, keep it, enjoy it, and share it with the appropriate people you want to share it with. And you know, I'll be famous, I'll be rich, I'll be powerful, but dude, this is all right. This is way better than what I used to be doing. And I'm telling you that to live for Christ, you know, this life that Paul describes for Christ and others, and fruitful labor, it's actually a great gig. And some of you know what I'm talking about. You know it's true. But others of you go, really? And I'm just telling you, you can't. Your last 10 years can't touch mine. Can't touch this.
That's right. You think I'm certain, I mean, that God used certain people for vessels to help the next person.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
something that I do wrong, might be triggered off for him to see, not to be.
Absolutely.
So, I really couldn't say that, because this man right here, actually, he's been doing good all the time. He's really useful, in a way, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because he don't know, he's not showing a person the other side.
Yep, yep.
And I am, you know, I'm going wrong, and this guy see, from me going wrong, it's the consequences.
Right.
Right? So, I really couldn't say it because of you doing everything right all the time. Not right all the time, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
When you just explain it right, would be more beneficial than a person who has it.
Well, day in and day out, I will do more good for other people than you will in your slippery ways. Day in and day out, you may be a good example of what not to be, but I'm going to do a whole lot more helping for people than you are, because you'll be doing slippery, you'll be ripping them off, and you'll be doing what you do, but I would be helping them. So I would submit to you that living this way is the best way to live for others, but it's also a good gig for you.
Yeah, excuse me, that's what I'm saying, sir. So, would it be bad for myself, or would it be bad for the next man?
Well, if you're not really living your life every day to help other people, you're not doing that much good for other people. You'd be a good example of what stupid is, but you're really not doing much good for other people. So you know, we can all learn from stupid decisions. So that's good. I can benefit from that. You know, Nikki's deal last week. There's no hate, but a lot of us got something out of that. It was a tragedy. We got something. So that was, you know, that was a benefit. And I kept saying, let's make Nikki's death count for something. So that was good. But how much better could Nikki, if Nikki had made good choices, and actually in his good choices helped people along the way, and ongoing, he's still alive and he's still helping, do way more good. So that's what he said. All right, last thing. So Paul finally says, look, I want to go. I actually desire to depart, but he said it's far better, but it's more necessary for you that I stay. And then he says, I'm convinced, and I know I'm supposed to stay. And I'm going to stay, and it's going to be with you all for your progress and your joy in the faith. He said, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm supposed to be here. I know. I'd rather go. I'm ready. But I need to stay. And I need to stay for you. And so, again, in verse 25, it's all about life, and once again, it's about others. So, Paul's worldview, life versus death. Life is not about me, it's about Jesus and others. And then he said death is graduation, hitting the lottery, victory. And I believe those are true. I work at being this guy every day. I work at it. I'm imperfect, like I said. I'm imperfect, but I work at this, and I believe this is true. And on that basis, life is good. And so if life's not working so well for you, I would like to suggest that you adjust your worldview, you wrestle with these verses, and you make some decisions to think and do and be different. Because this stuff works. And these verses, God really used in my life a couple of decades ago to help me get it. I'm imperfect, I relapse on this stuff, but I do keep coming back. Because I find more fulfillment here than when Gary tried to make Gary the happiest guy in the room. Remember the word, that word is muse. And muse means inspiration is not bad. Literally though, the word is to think. Google it, funk and waggle it, it's to think. To muse is to think. In English, we negate a word by putting an A in front. You negate it. So what amused mean? You negate it. You make it negative. What's that mean? Huh? Don't think or not think. To muse is to think. Amuse is not to think. Most of us have spent our lives in amusement mode. How'd that work out for you? Bless you. That is no way to live. Man, I gotta have fun. I gotta entertain myself. No. You've given it a good shot. You tried really hard. Where are you? What'd that get you? And so that's not how to live. And some of you could write a book. Some of you got a PhD in knowing all about this. This is the other way. Not interested yet. I respect that. But that worldview changed my life. And I offer to you to do the same.